Hey there, toy collector friends and Star Wars fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Triple TC, that's the time-travelling toy collector, and today we are looking at the Star Wars Vintage Collection Landspeeder, complete with a carded Luke Skywalker figure. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the channel, you know why I've picked this up. For those of you unfamiliar with the channel, you probably think you know why I picked this up, because it's a toy and I wanted it. Well, that's kind of true, but a little while back, quite a long while back, about 30 years ago, I did make a conscious decision I would never collect Star Wars toys ever again. They were the mainstay really of my childhood. They were the first sort of toy line that I actively sort of amassed a volume of. That was then followed by things like Transformers and G.I. Joe and Mask and some other bits and pieces, admittedly. But it was, if you like, my first love in Toyland was Star Wars, the Star Wars figures and some of the vehicles. To be honest, I never had a huge amount of the vehicles. I had some of the smaller die-cast ones, but never the sort of huge interactive ones. But because so much of my collection was lost to time, by which you can translate that into, they were sold off at car boot sales for 10p, 10 pence, 10 cents, you know, that sort of pointless money that just brings tears to your eyes, lumps to your throat and bile to your stomach. And I'd seen sort of latterly so many different ranges, so many different levels of quality of figures, the Black Series, the Vintage Collection, the Retro Collection. Oh my God, there was so much going on. I thought, I just cannot be drawn back into that, because knowing what I'm like, I will want it all. And I'll be honest with you, I've been quite good. It was really the Retro Collection that sort of attracted my attention, the box sets of the Retro Collection. And then I saw the Razor Crest HasLab, which I didn't collect, didn't get, because I didn't see it till after the event. And then I thought, I wish I'd got that. As you do, you know, but it wasn't to be, and that's fine. I can live with that because it's huge. So I would have nowhere to put it. And I'm already now currently in the throes, because of what my collection has become, of redesigning my shelf units and my storage, which is what brings me to why I've got this, because I did pick up the HasLab Cantina and I have yet to assemble it fully, because I am redesigning my display areas. And as a result, I'm also taking the time to collect pieces for a Tatooine landscape. So I've been good, and I've limited myself to, if you like, the Tatooine world vibe of Star Wars. So I'm not sort of going out willy-nilly picking up any Star Wars figures, any Star Wars vehicles, anything that they release. I'm not doing that. I'm fighting that urge on a daily basis. I am focusing my entire collecting mind around Star Wars, with one exception, which I'll touch on in a second, for building my Tatooine landscape, so that when my displays are finished being built, and they're not far off now, then I will construct a Tatooine landscape, which will include the streets of Tatooine, the cantina, the Landspeeder. I've been picking up a ton of vintage collection figures, because they're vintage collection and they're not the originals. I don't have any. I've realised I have no compunction about undoing them. So some people will know that I was getting excited because I wanted to get a power droid for my set, and I now have one. I managed to get him quite cheap on eBay, and here he is. So he will be joining my lineup for Tatooine. He's actually got pictures on the back, because that's how you do it. So I've got another one that's in the mix now. So I'm very excited that he's arrived. But today we're looking at this. Now, I have shown this off already in a previous video, but I never got round to actually taking it out because I was too busy talking about, you know, my plans for Tatooine and etc. And a couple of people did comment saying that they wanted to actually have a look at the Landspeeder. So I'm here to oblige you. The packaging is, of course, gorgeous Hasbro a la Kenner, giving us 1970s, 1980s vibe. We've got the sort of railroad tracks around the edges, or race tracks, some people like to call them race tracks. Landspeeder in the sort of yellow pill there, and we've got a reminiscent, because they used to have this really sort of nothingness in the background, but it really jumped out as this is what it looks like to be a Star Wars box. And we have the vehicle. We've got the Luke Skywalker figure. They tell us here that we get the Tatooine Luke Skywalker figure here. That's one of the Sand Troopers that you've got there. So everything else not included. New Ben Kenobi that's recently been released. I think a very old C-3PO, because I'm still trying to get hold of a C-3PO. You'll notice over here subtly in the background there is one, but that's an old Power of the Force C-3PO that I acquired. And because I wanted to have a couple of, I wanted a C-3PO and R2-D2 that I could have out of the boxes. And so I acquired a couple of old Power of the Force for nothing much, and they're my touchstone droids. So the top of the vehicle. Now, one of the things I love with this is how reminiscent it is. They go to great lengths to make it reminiscent of the period on the front. There we have the Star Wars logo and the vehicle in all of its glory, along with Luke Skywalker in one of his appearances. And there's Luke Skywalker figure again there. On the side, we can see the detailing under the bonnet and all of the sort of sand damage there. There is the included vehicle, figure, and various bits and pieces that come with Luke. This side, you can see the interior of the cockpit, and it really looks very, very detailed. I've not taken it out of the box yet. And again, on the back, there's another scene, and this scene plays into why I've not taken it out of the box yet. The reason I'm not taking it out of the box yet is because, again, if I take something out of the box, I've got nowhere to put it because my display area isn't ready to receive my stuff. So some of the Star Wars stuff, I'm being very tentative about moving forwards with it because I don't want to be lumbered with a load of stuff I can't put anywhere, which just gets more in my way than things already are. So that's just context. But again, I love this picture, and this is kind of the vibe that I'm going to be going for with my Tatooine landscape. I have picked up a ground sheet. I can't remember who recommended it. Somebody recommended it for the base of the HasLab because it doesn't come with a floor. But such is life. So I've actually got some matting, which sort of looks like gravelly ground, which can extend beyond the HasLab and will work with the streets of Mos Eisley and so on and so forth. So that's exciting. And I love this. This is the whole sort of thing that I'm after here. So I have already opened the box because I wanted to check that I did have the figure inside it, because I have had a bad experience with figures when I've received things off Amazon. But the figure is in there, so I've shown that off already. So now I'm going to get the rest of the stuff out. I'm going to pause while I get it out of the box because I don't really want to spend all that time faffing about with that. I've faffed about enough already, you're saying, and you're quite right, I have. So I'm going to go and do that off camera. Gives you a chance to like the video, which would be really, really wonderful if you could do that. And if you haven't already and you're interested in this kind of thing, please do drop a subscription to the channel. It's completely free. You've got no obligation to watch every single video. Just watch the stuff that's of interest to you. And if you find this sort of thing of interest, then I would 100% suggest you look at some of the other playlists, because there will be other things that will interest you. So drop a subscription. It's completely free. And it's really, selfishly, it's great for me because it helps me know that there are people who are watching this kind of thing and that they enjoy what I'm putting out. And also it helps me get to my own personal milestones. When I first started doing this as a hobby, which I can't believe is a couple of years ago now, I started doing this. I kind of just was doing it for the giggles of it all due to what was going on around me at the time. I'm still doing it mainly for the giggles, but there's been quite a few people that have sort of found it and talked to me, and we have a bit of a community thing going on, which is lovely. But it also meant that I then thought, well, this is great. I can set myself some challenges, so I set myself some personal milestones, and your subscription helps me get to my next personal subscriber milestone. So you are really helping me psychologically and from an ego point of view by clicking that subscribe button. But if not, don't worry, I'm just glad you're here for the duration. And for you, let me get this out of the box. And here we are with everything out of the box. And I have to tell you, well, actually, I have to tell you two things. First thing, this thing is beautiful. It's really, absolutely, stunningly beautiful. I think it's phenomenal. And I'm really, really glad that I've picked it up. Second thing I'm going to tell you, and this is, I found a bit peculiar, given how fanatical Hasbro tends to be about making sure people don't swallow things. it doesn't come with any instructions. Now you might think, what kind of instructions does it need? Well, I'll explain. First of all, this section arrives separately. You have to attach it, which is very straightforward and very common-sensy. But you'll also see that it has a gimmick. Now the gimmick here, I'll show you, is you've got these wheels. This is very similar to the old 1970s/80s version of this, where it has these sort of translucent wheels, which gives it the impression that it's floating, you know, and it's got a lot of bounce to it. You see that? A lot of bounce to it there. And it rolls brilliantly. It rolls really, really well. But it has this feature, and the feature is you use this gear shift here, which I'll do like this, you see? Yeah, it goes to there, and then you can do it to there. But this is what it does underneath. It retracts the wheels. So there's a wheel retraction feature. Now, I would have thought that there would be a release button that would release the wheels, but I can't find it. So I'm assuming it is literally just push that back. But I'm wondering whether I just should have had some instructions and it's been missed. I don't know. Anyway, let's check out the detailing of the Landspeeder. It is beautiful. Look at this. Look at this weathered damage here. The silver on the front of this is absolutely stunning. Stunningly done. The damage, really, really well done. This little section here that rotates, beautiful. We can go inside the bonnet here, lifts up no problem, and holds. It has a hold mechanism that it just holds. There's detailing underneath the bonnet that sort of screams 1980s, if I'm honest. And there is the engine feet. Well, that's not very friendly. That's because I'm tilting it too far forwards. There's the various engine components down there. I tell you what, if there's something that Hasbro does really, really well in its toys, it is engines and engine pieces and mechanical detailing. They do it brilliantly, and this particular item is no exception. And you know, I'm hoping it's coming out well, but you've got some lovely sort of bronze goldy color stuff here, all the engineering detailing around the sides, some silver there, this section of the engine which is, you know, pops up through that gap in the bonnet, so it's a bit exposed. It's brilliant. We've also got a connector here for the long rifle, which Luke has. We've got the vents and the intakes along the side and either side here. Additional detailing here. We've got some exposed wiring. Jawas would have a field day with that, I think. More weather detailing. Here's the reverse, some of the thrust. There's the sort of scores across here, and you know, it's there. You can feel it. It's touchable. It's not just paintwork. And of course, then we have the much more spacious seating area. We do have an adjustable steering column. We've got the detailing here on the central control. It's very well detailed and coloured in. The paintwork there is excellent. Two little CD players on the dashboard. They're not CD players. I'm just saying that because I'm a bit silly. The chairs are here, and we've got space here. The space here is brilliant because it will accommodate, from what I can see from the pictures, C-3PO. He'll be able to sit on the back and put his feet in here, which is something that a previous version of this didn't allow figures to do. I haven't lived that experience. I learnt that from someone else who I was talking to this model about, and they said, you know, it looks like such a small thing, but when you want to pose figures, it makes a lot of difference. It doesn't work with the power of the Force figures, as you're about to discover, but you know, you can position R2-D2. You can't actually, for reasons, but you can position R2-D. You can't position this one. You can use a vintage collection R2-D2, which I have got actually. I don't know why I didn't put him out here, just to be awkward to myself, really. But because it's power of the Force, there's no knee articulation, so all he can do, so it's very much like the 1970s all over again. He can sit there and ride in and fall off probably, but he can't actually put his feet in there, although he can now stand in there if he needed to, and R2 can sort of pose on there, and R5 just kind of collapsed in the background because he's got a, as we all know, a dodgy motivator. And now how he feels, to be honest. So there is space at the back for a figure to stand or sit that previously we would not have had access to. So that's really just sort of touching base and letting you know that that's the situation. I am aware that the Power of the Force figures are not the ones for this, but I remain on the lookout for, although I've been advised by a lot of people in the community who answered my previous video on the Star Wars figures, that we desperately need a new vintage collection C-3PO, and not to purchase any of the ones that are out there because they're a bit naff, apart from perhaps the Saga collection one. So that's on my radar. So that's the Landspeeder. It looks amazing. As I say, I'm really, really glad I picked this up. This is the Luke Skywalker figure that comes with it. It does have some soft goods there, and it has his poncho on the back. There he is wearing his poncho on the back of the card, along with his hat and various accoutrements. He does have the bladeless lightsaber as well as a lightsaber. This is Vintage Collection 344A, interesting. And there we have the battered but speedy X34 Landspeeder. So maybe he took after his dad in terms of enjoying a bit of Landspeedery activity on Tatooine. Who knows? It's a lovely unpunched card. And again, this is where I start to get a little bit problematic, because I look at that and I go, that's a lovely figure. Really good head sculpt, actually. Very nice Mark Hamill-esque in his late teens, early 20s head sculpt. Very nice. And the blend of the plastic and the, sometimes this doesn't work, but I think it has to work here because he has to be able to sit in this. This figure is designed specifically to, complement this vehicle. So he has to fit in it. So there is the lightsaber, the bladeless lightsaber, which will attach to his belt. There is the bladed lightsaber. There's some noculars there. The long rifle for taking out, sand people. I think that's the bolt. I'm not sure what that is, so I'm not going to make it up. Folks, if you're watching this, you will know what is that. Tell me what it is, please, in the comments down below. I think it's to do with the control of the droids. That's what I want to say it is, but I might be making that up. So do please let me know down below. But otherwise, overall, this looks like a great figure. I have got one of the new Luke Skywalkers, so whether or not I'll open this, I don't know. I love the look of it. And this is where I start to crumble, because I'm going, yeah, I'm going to take them all the figures that I've bought. I'm going to take them all out of the card. And then I look at that and I go, but that looks beautiful. Some people collect, paintings and sculptures, and I collect action figures. And when I get an action figure on a piece of card, I'm like, oh, but that looks really good. And I really don't want to have to destroy it by taking it off. But now that they factor in these nice little breathing holes, it does mean it's an easier job to sort of rescue it. But we shall see. I mean, I'm definitely here for getting it out of the, out of the box. But there's just a part of me that my heart palpitates slightly when I think about doing it, because, I think about all that I've lost in the past. But there you go. So this has been the Vintage Collection Landspeeder. It's so beautiful on how it rolls. It's balanced so well. Having that feature of the retractable invisible wheels is beautiful. I think the figure that comes with it is beautiful. I'm saying beautiful a lot. I think the level of design detailing is excellent. The incorporation of a seating space so that C-3PO, hopefully a new Vintage Collection C-3PO, can fit in there. We must be getting him soon. Come on, Hasbro, do an announcement. We're in November 2025. We need a C-3PO that will work with these products and not suffer from gold plastic syndrome, etc. I'm really glad I've picked this up. Have you picked this up? Have you encountered any issues with it? Are you really happy that you've got it? Have you opened your Luke Skywalker figure? Are you keeping it carded? Have you had to buy two of these so that you can keep one carded and you can take one off? Because that always becomes sort of the mind game that I play with myself and go, but that's a very, very dense use of money. But the heart wants what the heart wants, I suppose. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts. You've been a fantastic companion as I've been taking a look at the Landspeeder and Luke Skywalker, and it just remains for me to say that I very much look forward to seeing you in a future, or of course in a past video, and that things of beauty really are toys forever. Take care. Bye bye for now.